In 1993, Article 336-10 of the National Electrical Code addressed the installation of non-metallic sheath cable, often referred to as NEC cable, in exposed work environments. It stated that the cable should closely follow the surface of the building finish or running boards. This provision aimed to ensure neat and secure installation, minimizing the risk of physical damage to the cable and maintaining a professional appearance. It's important to recognize that this section did not explicitly address the specific scenario of using NEC cable whips or short lengths to supply power to electric water heaters of 120 gallons or less. To understand the current standards, we look to the present National Electrical Code, specifically the 2020 edition, which has been revised to provide more explicit guidance on this matter. Article 334.15 mirrors the earlier requirement stipulating that cable must closely follow the surface of the building finish or running boards. However, Article 334.30b introduces exceptions for unsupported cables, allowing for more flexibility in certain situations. This section permits non-metallic sheath cable to be unsupported under two primary conditions. Firstly, where the cable is fished between access points through concealed spaces in finished buildings or structures and providing support is impracticable, and secondly, where the cable is not more than 1.4 meters, which is approximately 4.5 feet from the last point of cable support to the point of connection to a luminaire, that is, a lighting fixture or other piece of electrical equipment, provided that the cable and the point of connection are within an accessible ceiling. Given the stipulations in the present National Electrical Code, it is generally permissible to use short lengths of NEC cable to supply power to an electric water heater of 120 gallons or less, provided that certain conditions are met. The cable must closely follow the surface of the building finish, and it cannot be unsupported for more than 1.4 meters or 4.5 feet. This allowance provides installers with some flexibility while maintaining a reasonable level of safety and compliance. However, it is crucial to remember that local codes and regulations may impose additional or more stringent requirements. These local variations can differ significantly from the National Electrical Code, reflecting specific regional concerns or practices. As a result, it is always essential to consult with the local authority having jurisdiction, often referred to as the AHJ, to ensure full compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. This step is critical to avoid potential violations and ensure the safety and proper functioning of the electrical installation. In practical terms, using an NEC cable for an electric water heater involves several considerations. Firstly, the cable size must be appropriate for the load, taking into account the wattage of the water heater and the voltage of the electrical supply. This calculation ensures that the cable is capable of safely carrying the required current without overheating. Secondly, a cable must be properly secured and protected from physical damage. This protection may involve using conduit or other protective measures, especially in areas where the cable is exposed to potential hazards. Thirdly, the connections at both the water heater and the electrical panel must be made correctly and securely, using appropriate connectors and following established wiring practices. These connections are crucial for ensuring a reliable and safe electrical connection. Furthermore, it is essential to ground the water heater properly to protect against electrical shock. Grounding provides a low impedance path for fault currents, helping to trip the circuit breaker and to energize the circuit in the event of a fault. The grounding conductor should be properly sized and connected to the water heater's grounding terminal and the electrical panel's grounding bus. When working with electrical systems, safety should always be the top priority. It is essential to de-energize the circuit before starting any work, using appropriate lockout-tagout procedures to prevent accidental re-energization. Additionally, it is advisable to wear appropriate personal protective equipment such as insulated gloves and safety glasses to protect against electrical shock and other hazards. If you are not comfortable working with electricity or are unsure about any aspect of the installation, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician. A licensed electrician has the training and experience necessary to perform the work safely and in compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. Moreover, they can provide valuable advice and guidance on the best practices for electrical installations in your specific situation. Understanding the nuances of electrical codes and regulations can be challenging, but it is essential for ensuring the safety and reliability of electrical systems. By staying informed about the latest code changes and best practices, and by consulting with qualified professionals when needed, you can help to protect yourself and others from electrical hazards. Now, let's delve into some specific examples and scenarios to further illustrate the application of the National Electrical Code regarding NEC cable and electric water heaters. Consider a situation where an electric water heater is located in a basement, and the electrical panel is also in the basement, but on the opposite side of the room. The distance between the panel and the water heater is approximately 10 feet. In this case, you would need to run NEC cable from the panel to the water heater, ensuring that it is properly supported along the way. According to the National Electrical Code, the cable must be supported at intervals not exceeding 4.5 feet. This support can be achieved by using cable staples, cable ties, or other approved methods. The goal is to prevent the cable from sagging or becoming damaged. Additionally, you would want to ensure that the cable is protected from physical damage, especially in areas where it is exposed to foot traffic or other potential hazards. This protection could involve running the cable through conduit or using other protective measures. At the water heater, you would need to make a secure and proper connection, using an approved connector and following established wiring practices. The grounding conductor must be properly connected to the water heater's grounding terminal and the electrical panel's grounding bus. Now, let's consider another scenario where the electric water heater is located in an attic and the electrical panel is located in the basement. In this case, you might need to run NEC cable through concealed spaces in the walls and ceilings to reach the water heater. According to the National Electrical Code, you are allowed to fish the cable through these concealed spaces without providing additional support, as long as it is impracticable to do so. However, once the cable emerges from the concealed space, you must provide proper support within 4.5 feet of the point of emergence. Additionally, you would want to ensure that the cable is protected from physical damage, especially in areas where it is exposed to potential hazards. This protection could involve running the cable through conduit or using other protective measures. At the water heater, you would need to make a secure and proper connection, using an approved connector and following established wiring practices. The grounding conductor must be properly connected to the water heater's grounding terminal and the electrical panel's grounding bus. It is important to note that these are just a few examples, and the specific requirements may vary depending on the situation. It is always best to consult with a qualified electrician or the local authority having jurisdiction to ensure full compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. In addition to the National Electrical Code, there may be other relevant standards and guidelines that you should be aware of. For example, the National Fire Protection Association, also known as NFPA, publishes a number of standards related to electrical safety, including NFPA 70E, which covers electrical safety in the workplace. These standards provide valuable information on how to protect yourself and others from electrical hazards. Moreover, manufacturers of electrical equipment often provide detailed instructions and guidelines for the installation and use of their products. It is important to read and follow these instructions carefully to ensure that the equipment is installed and operated safely and effectively. By staying informed about the latest standards, guidelines, and best practices, you can help to ensure the safety and reliability of electrical systems. This knowledge is essential for anyone who works with electricity, whether you are a homeowner, a contractor, or a professional electrician. Now let's talk about some common mistakes that people make when working with NEC cable and electric water heaters. One common mistake is using the wrong size cable for the load. This error can lead to overheating, which can damage the cable and potentially cause a fire. It is crucial to calculate the load correctly and select a cable size that is appropriate for the amperage. Another common mistake is failing to properly support the cable. This oversight can cause the cable to sag or become damaged, which can create a safety hazard. The National Electrical Code specifies the maximum intervals for cable support, and it is important to follow these requirements. A third common mistake is making improper connections. This error can lead to loose connections, which can cause arcing and overheating. It is essential to use approved connectors and follow established wiring practices to ensure that the connections are secure and reliable. A fourth common mistake is failing to properly ground a water heater. This omission can create a shock hazard, as the water heater may become energized in the event of a fault. The grounding conductor must be properly sized and connected to the water heater's grounding terminal and the electrical panel's grounding bus. By avoiding these common mistakes, you can help to ensure the safety and reliability of the electrical installation. It is always best to double-check your work and consult with a qualified electrician if you are unsure about any aspect of the installation. In addition to the technical aspects of working with NM cable and electric water heaters, it is also important to consider the legal and ethical implications. As a professional electrician, you have a responsibility to ensure that your work is safe, compliant, and meets the highest standards of quality. This responsibility includes following all applicable codes and regulations, using approved materials and methods, and providing accurate and honest information to your clients. It also includes respecting the property and privacy of your clients and treating them with courtesy and professionalism. Furthermore, it is important to be aware of the potential liability that you may face if your work is negligent or causes harm to others. You should carry adequate insurance to protect yourself against such claims, and you should always strive to provide the best possible service to your clients. By upholding the highest ethical standards, you can build a reputation for integrity and earn the trust of your clients. This trust is essential for long-term success in the electrical industry. Now, let's address some frequently asked questions about NM cable and electric water heaters. Firstly, can I use NM cable for an outdoor water heater? The answer is generally no. NM cable is not rated for outdoor use and should not be installed in wet or damp locations. You should use a cable that is specifically designed for outdoor use, such as UF cable, which is a type of underground feeder cable that is rated for direct burial. Secondly, can I run NM cable through conduit? The answer is yes. You can run NM cable through conduit for added protection, especially in areas where the cable is exposed to physical damage. However, you should ensure that the conduit is properly sized to accommodate the cable and that the cable is not overcrowded within the conduit. Thirdly, can I splice NM cable? The answer is yes. You can splice NM cable, but the splice must be made in an approved junction box and the connections must be secure and properly insulated. You should never make a splice outside of a junction box, as this can create a safety hazard. Fourthly, can I use an NM cable for a 240 volt circuit? The answer is yes. You can use an NM cable for a 240 volt circuit, provided that the cable is rated for 240 volts and the circuit breaker is properly sized for the load. You should always check the voltage rating of the cable before using it for a 240 volt circuit. These are just a few of the many questions that people have about NM cable and electric water heaters. If you have any other questions, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician or the local authority having jurisdiction. To summarize, using NM cable for electric water heaters requires careful consideration of the National Electrical Code, local codes, and best practices. The 1993 NEC had less specific guidance, while the current NEC allows for short and supported runs under certain conditions. Always prioritize safety, ensure proper cable sizing and support, make secure connections, and ground the water heater properly. Consult with qualified professionals and stay informed about the latest standards and guidelines to ensure compliance and prevent electrical hazards. Remember, electrical work can be dangerous, so it is always best to err on the side of caution and seek expert advice when needed. With careful planning, proper execution, and a commitment to safety, you can ensure that your electrical installations are reliable, efficient, and safe for years to come. Finally, let's discuss some future trends and developments in the field of electrical wiring and water heating. One trend is the increasing use of smart water heaters, which can be controlled remotely and can adjust their heating cycles based on energy prices and usage patterns. These smart water heaters can help to reduce energy consumption and save money on utility bills. Another trend is the development of new and improved wiring methods, such as arc fault circuit interrupters, or RFCIs, and ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, which can help to prevent electrical fires and shocks. These devices are becoming more and more common in new construction and renovations. A third trend is the increasing emphasis on energy efficiency and sustainability in the building industry. This emphasis is leading to the development of new technologies and practices that can help to reduce the environmental impact of buildings. For example, solar water heaters are becoming more popular as they can provide a renewable source of energy for heating water. By staying abreast of these trends and developments, you can position yourself at the forefront of the electrical industry and provide your clients with the most innovative and sustainable solutions. The field of electrical wiring and water heating is constantly evolving, and it is important to be a lifelong learner to remain competitive and provide the best possible service. As we conclude this discussion, it is important to reiterate the significance of continuous learning and adaptation in the electrical field. Codes and technologies are constantly evolving, demanding that professionals stay updated to ensure safety and compliance. Embrace opportunities for further education, attend industry workshops, and seek certifications to enhance your expertise. By doing so, you not only safeguard your work but also contribute to the advancement of the electrical industry as a whole.